Married at First Sight and Afterparty, season 18, episode 7. Finally, Michelle got a tour of David's place. Plus, the experts had a long overdue sit down with all of the couples. Hi, I'm Tamara, and this is Tamara Lynette Tells. The first segment of Afterparty featured Madison Juan and Simone from Entertainment Tonight. The second segment had Michelle and Thomas. Now, you know I have to start with the Michelle and David show. This is the episode I've been waiting for, to see David's Shangri-La, the 2-bedroom basement condo with a separate entrance, no parents in sight, and a full kitchen. The place he's been hyping up all honeymoon. But before they went to see each other's places, they met with Dr. Pia and Pastor Cal. So Dr. Pia came locked and loaded for this meeting. She asked Michelle, do you remember what you asked for? Michelle said, yeah, I think I asked for someone who meets my lifestyle, successful, confident, not David. Did I leave anything out? Dr. Pia was like, roll the tape. Okay, that's not what she said, but they showed Dr. Pia interviewing Michelle prior to getting picked for Married at First Sight, and Dr. Pia straight up asked if she was matched with the guy who lived at home but had the same goals as her, would she be open to it? So at first, Michelle was hesitant, but then agreed she'd be okay if he had the same goals. Okay, sure, that was a gotcha moment, but people go to matchmakers to find potential mates who have their lives together, and the only thing missing is a relationship. Not to find people who live in their parents' basement and on the struggle bus. Now, Dr. P asked Michelle, what's changed since that interview? Michelle said, I don't feel anyone around our age should be living at home. If you were to come up to me on the street and we had a conversation about you living at home, I would probably never talk to you again. Girl, go on then. Ain't nobody crying a river for not being picked by you, Judgy McJudgerson. I mean, it's okay not to want to date someone who lives at home, but it's not okay to look down on them and be so dang rude. So Pastor Cal asked David why he lives at home, and David said, I'm hardly ever there. I pay rent. I was able to pay my car off 4 months early. I have 2 bedrooms, my own kitchen. It's not like I'm eating my parents' food. I do have student loans, but I'm able to move out on my own if I wanted to. Now, Michelle said she and David have different standards. So Pastor Cal said he has standards for himself as well, but he can't hold others to his own standard. Yes, you can. There is nothing wrong with having standards, Pastor Cal. So David said, my definition of success is having a roof over my head, family, good mental health, healthy, and happiness. Michelle's definition is more financial. Now, David appears to be a simple guy who's just happy to have a place to stay and clothes on his back, whereas Michelle appears to want financial stability and possibly grow rich. Absolutely nothing wrong with either of these scenarios. However, I wonder how much they both glossed over these things during the matchmaking interviews in order to get picked to be on the show, like downplaying this even though it was important. Michelle said, I wake up every day saying I don't want to be a pill, but here I am in this conversation being a pill. So everyone kind of fussed at her for being so hard on herself. No, she is being a pill, and that's putting it lightly. I'll let her own that one. So at the end of the day, the experts told David and Michelle they need a reboot. Michelle said she agrees with what Pastor Cal and Dr. P have been telling her, but she has fear. On Afterparty, Michelle said she's basically afraid of losing herself. So the experts touched on Michelle's need for control and fighting not to give up any control over the situation. Now, on Afterparty, Keisha asked her if her control issues have gotten in the way of relationships before, and she was like, oh, for sure. It's hard for me to let my guard down, which she was honest about during the matchmaking special. So the conversation with the experts should have happened the day after the wedding. Michelle actually got out of her head a little bit, and with more coaching sooner, at the very least, she may have been more kind towards David. But of course, where's the drama in that? Now, after the experts left, we finally got to the good part. They visit each other's places, starting with Michelle's apartment. It didn't have much personality, but it was okay, a decent place. But why did David keep calling it simple and basic? He even told her it was similar to his place, but with less clutter. Not her apartment looking like a basement. He was doing the most. Michelle was so pissed. I swear David doesn't care about this girl. He's just playing games in order to stay on the show and get paid. He's got to know he's pushing her buttons and not the good ones. her entire attitude changed. She even said, I wouldn't call it simple, but okay. To the confessional cam, she said, to be honest, David calling my place simple rubbed me the wrong way. I've worked hard for what I have. Okay, but your place is kind of simple. Like, how would you describe it? Who cares? Because it's time to check out David's rustic retreat. So they drove there in David's car, and he said he's excited for her to see his place because after seeing her simple abode, he's not as nervous about her seeing his private penthouse suite in the basement because they kind of live similar. Okay, I may be putting a little extra on what he said. I didn't hear everything because I was too busy laughing at Michelle getting a little taste of her own medicine. Having David talk down about where she lives doesn't feel that good, does it, Missy? When they rolled up to his parents' house, they headed to the side door, and David was like, yeah, I don't even think I've ever used the front door. Don't know nothing about that. I'm all about my private entrance on the side, you see, because I'm a man, and real men enter through the basement. Okay, so I put a little extra on it, but never gone through the front door, really? I'm like, didn't you grow up in that house? Or at the very least, you've lived there long enough to have entered through the front door. Come on now. Anyway, can I tell you, when David opened the door to that no floor plan having kegerator in the middle of the room, no couch, bed on the floor, messy college kid dorm room that looks every bit of a basement, I was like, oh, who the hell inspected this place and said, yep, the only thing missing in this man's life is a spouse. David, you way oversold your 2-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and a separate entrance. Michelle asked about him not having a couch. Where do you sit? He said, I sit on my bed. But Michelle is not the one. She was like, do your parents do their laundry down here? Yeah, but never when I'm at home. But I'm never here. They do their laundry while I'm at work. David, stop it. The jig is up. You know good and dang well you and your parents are close. When it's laundry day, they do their laundry whether you're home or not. And you don't have a couch because you sit on your parents' couch upstairs. When you smell the aroma of food, you head right upstairs and grab your plate. If that's your life, own it. Nothing you can say at this point is going to impress Michelle anyway. Might as well live in your truth, sir. But in his attempt to sell how nice his place is to Michelle, I noticed he downgraded it from a 2-bedroom apartment to a studio. If I was living in this studio and there were strangers living upstairs and not my parents, would you feel this way? So Michelle was like, so random strangers would come down here and wash their clothes in your studio? Well, people live different types of lifestyles. Okay. So he asked if seeing his place changed how she felt. And she said, this is pretty much what I expected. Needless to say, he gained 0 bonus points from Michelle after showing her his little Oasis Shangri-La laundry room. On Afterparty, Michelle said David's place was worse than what she was expecting. She wasn't expecting the frat boyness of it all. Meanwhile, we fast forward to the next day where Michelle enters their shared apartment because she slept at home in her own little simple apartment. She asked for a pat on the back for texting him to let him know she wasn't going to sleep there last night. Thanks for doing something normal people do. It's called communication. Now, David said that he would like to do more things together, even though it's hard because of their schedules. So she pulled out her phone and read a list of ideas she was inspired to come up with after meeting with the experts. See, the experts did help a little bit. She said, we can go to a concert, check out this restaurant, go to an ice cream place, take a cooking class, go for a ride on a bike trail, go to a psychic, or get tarot card reading. On Afterparty, Michelle said after the experts meeting, she realized that she is in her head and in her own way, and that the best moments of the honeymoon were when they went on dates and did things together. So that is what prompted her to come up with a list of things of them to do. So back to the episode, David said he wished he would have come up with some of those ideas and thanked her for coming up with them. And so she's just like, look at me improving. Are you though? Because you didn't ask David what he thought of your ideas or what he would like to do. Girl, you're still a mess. But I'm surprised to see her actually trying to do something, anything with David. I don't know what her goal is, but she is at least spending time with him without throwing up in her mouth. I'll take that. Madison and Allen. So it's the next day after Madison's night out on the town. She said she hung out with her girls and got her drink on. Then Kate, whoever she is, was having a rough night. So they went back to Madison's apartment where Madison passed out on the couch. Now, at after party, Keisha asked Madison, like, why on earth would you leave your husband alone in an apartment the first night? And Madison said she was struggling through the honeymoon, crying, snotting up, and just boo-hooing almost every day, but was putting on a brave face, sleeping in the same bed with a stranger, and the whole process was just a lot for her. However, it wasn't her intention to stay the night. She literally woke up on the couch. She said she apologized to Alan for not coming back, and Alan was super understanding, and she expressed her gratitude for him being cool about it. Now, during the matchmaking special, there were hints of Madison being a party girl. I'm guessing she passed out on the couch because she had too many drowning in your sorrows cocktails. Alan was really understanding about this, opposed to previous seasons where the spouse would be in a dark hallway somewhere with the camera way too close to their face, slightly whispering, upset and complaining about their spouse not coming home. He didn't do any of that. I love that Alan was chilling in the jacuzzi with a couple of German women and enjoying himself regardless of whatever shenanigans Madison was up to. Now, during their conversation, Madison said, it's not unusual for me to hang out with my friends all night. She doesn't sound like someone who's trying to hang up her single girl lifestyle card. In the meantime, they talked about going to check out each other's apartments. Now, Alan said he's excited about Madison seeing his place and his hoopty. And Madison said, hoopty? What's that? Madison, you are a girl of the streets. How do you not know what a hoopty is? But it didn't matter because his car is no hoopty. He had a sporty Jaguar. He had a sexy car. I was like, show Madison what's up. But in true Alan gotta be weird fashion, he had a blue rubber chicken in the trunk and just had to pull it out and show her. So he lost a few sexy points, but only in Madison's book. I like that Alan doesn't take himself so seriously. However, what really would have been sexy if he would have pulled out a bouquet of flowers instead of a rubber chicken. Not that I think he needs to impress Madison, though. She needs to go on somewhere and find herself a protein powder Captain Creatine. Anyway, he said the rubber chicken belonged to his niece and he was trying to fix it for her. That sounded like a made-up excuse by producers. Anyway, when they got to his place, Madison was pleasantly surprised that his apartment wasn't colorful, crazy, and weird. Alan has his act together. He appears to make a good living. On the matchmaking special, they said that he and Madison make similar money. But Alan is easygoing, and from what I've seen so far, appears to be ready for, at the very least, a serious relationship. Now, after party, Keisha asked Madison, Alan has such a great personality. Is there anything else about him that you might find attractive? And she said, Alan is a great person. His ability to handle situations and talk calmly is something I really appreciate about him. We have great conversations, both on and off camera. Girl, you better hang on to that man. Men who look good in skinny jeans come and go, but finding someone who is calm when you are cutting up, can offer stability and great conversations is a good find. You might want to give your husband a chance. Later, they met with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal. Madison told them that she is struggling with romantic and physical chemistry, but doesn't want him to change to please her. Now, Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper talked about how being in a relationship, you have to make tweaks and changes to yourself as long as they benefit the two of them. Blah, blah, blah. Alan's personality and personal style has turned Madison off. They don't need tweaks. They need different spouses. Meanwhile, Alan said he's been to the gym 3 times in the past 4 days. He was like, at this rate, I'm going to be an Adonis walking through the door. I hope you are, and I hope you dump Madison at the first sign of gaining a pec muscle and find a woman who appreciates you, quirks and all. Chow, when Alan brought his dog Luffy home to live with he and Madison, that dog is not going to help their feeble little relationship. He was all over the place, licking Madison in the face, humping the pillow, chewing the pillow, couldn't sit still. He was only in the apartment for a few minutes and was tearing it up. Talk about no home training. The dog is cute, but he needs training. Now, apparently, Alan is a great cook. Madison loved the meal he prepared. And on After Party, both she and Juan said that Alan can get down in the kitchen. Now, Alan seems like a good catch for the right lady, but honestly, I haven't seen what Madison is bringing to the table yet. Camille and Thomas. In this episode, Camille focused on Thomas not having swag. Camille, stop saying swag. I live in Hollywood. The word swag out here means swag bag, like a goodie bag. So here's the thing. I hear what she's saying. Thomas is not the stereotype of a black man, and that's what she's used to. She even told her sister that she feels like she's in an interracial relationship, even though she's not. You like what you like. but making it seem as though Thomas is wrong somehow for not living up to the stereotype is not right. On Afterparty, Thomas said they had a conversation about this, and he said he was offended because Black people come in different shades and sizes, and there's no one way to be a Black man. Thank you. I agree. And there's more than one way to be a Black woman, too. Camille, you are no Mary J. Blige or Missy Elliott, but guess what? That's okay. Now, on Afterparty, Thomas said she embarrassed him in front of Pastor Cal when she was talking about his lack of Blackness. When she went to his place, Camille could not wait to look into his closet. She was asking him, "Show me your swaggy clothes." Girl, are you planning to take him to the Soul Train Awards? You act like you Miss Hip Hop fashion designer over there. Let this man be himself. So she told the experts he jokes a little too much. Then gave an example of a conversation they had where he said he uses a water pick instead of the normal way of flossing because blood was flying everywhere. She said that joke wasn't sexy. Everything that comes out of his mouth does not have to be sexy, boo-boo. Put down the romance novel and join us in the real world, won't you? Thanks. So Thomas seems like a great guy. If Camille doesn't stop holding him to the stereotype of how a Black man is supposed to behave and talk, she might get slapped with a no on her forehead during decision day. Karla and Juan. So all this time we were focused on David living in the basement. Karla is living out of a storage unit. Now, the name of this episode is called Basement Blues, but maybe they should have called it Storage Wars. Karla said her lease was up right around the time for getting picked for the show, so she moved out and put her stuff in storage. Now, at Afterparty, Juan said he was surprised she was living out of a storage space. Me too. Now, I'm wondering how far in advance they taped the matchmaking special where they visit the contestants' home, because this is where Karla lived when Dr. Pia went for the home visit. This place is nice. I can't believe she let it go. Now, a lot of complexes will allow you to go month to month, like moving out, thinking the show would match her with her forever person who will allow her to move in with them right after decision day was a huge risk. Or maybe she wanted to move to a different place anyway and can find a new place before the show ends if she has to. Either way, this is not a good look, and I feel like she bait and switched, showed the experts her nice apartment, then moved out. When they went to Juan's place, it was like a true bachelor pad. One of his friends was there. He's going to stay there while Juan lives with Karla. There was a hammock in the living room, and he's using a drywall cart for his TV stand. Karla was being a little judgy of his place, talking about, "I like things to be more clean and minimal." I'm sorry, Miss Storage Space Dweller. You are not allowed to weigh in on how anyone else is living until you move out of public storage. At least he has an apartment to clutter. Obviously, she's looking at his place as her new home, given she doesn't have one. She was asking if he would make room for her things, and he was super reluctant, saying, "I'm sure there are things you can get rid of." Juan, you ain't right. I think her passive-aggressive reaction to his "I forgot about you" comment set them back. When they met with the experts, he told them he's pulled back the affection because in the past, when he's gone all the way with women, things didn't work out. I think she turned him off a bit, but he doesn't want to say it out loud. On Afterparty, Keisha asked Juan how he shows Karla affection. Juan said, "By cooking and cleaning around the house." To me, it sounds like we have another husband who put his wife in the homie zone. I don't believe Juan is feeling a spark with Karla anymore. Emem and Chi-Chi. When it was time for them to visit each other's places, they went to Chi-Chi's apartment first, and he kept warning her that he has a meager lifestyle. He came across as being insecure about his place. Once they went inside, it was fine. I don't know if he was trying to set the bar low so she'd be giddy over the place, or if he's feeling like he's not living up to his potential when it comes to his living situation. In any case, he plucked on the guitar a little bit, just gave her a tiny sample of what he can do. Maybe he played more and they didn't show it. I don't know. Meanwhile, to the confessional cam, Emem said, when men see her place, they get intimidated. So, of course, I want to see what she's working with. Her place was nice. It was large with an amazing view. A lot of the cast had apartments with great views. She has a karaoke machine with uplights and everything. So Chi-Chi was definitely giving intimidated vibes as he walked through her place. He kept referring to his meager lifestyle and told her he could fit his entire place in her living room. The more comments he made like that, the more small he felt to me. It wasn't a good look. Now, to the confessional cam, Emem said she's kind of worried about Chi-Chi's reaction to her place. I think this is how she's used to men behaving after seeing her home. They met with Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, but to me, it was useless. Chi-Chi is not into Emem, and I don't think he ever was. Look at this body language. He's doing a Michelle sitting off to the side, using his legs as a barrier to stop Emem from getting too close. He told the experts that he'd like to see more of Emem's artsy side. He gave the example of her cleaning and being meticulous instead of taking time to enjoy moments. Chi-Chi, maybe cleaning and being meticulous is her way of enjoying moments. Whatever, this relationship is a fraud. Chi-Chi desperately wanted to be on the show, and now he is. Okay, now he can mark this off his bucket list and maybe gain some new Instagram followers. But I don't like him for Emem. I'm over this couple. All of these relationships have odd quirks about them. Next week, they all have housewarming parties or gathering with friends and family, and it looks like Chi-Chi is going to cut up a bit. I can't wait to see his true colors. Plus, I have a little gossip to share with you in regards to him when we talk about next week's episode. In the meantime, that's all I have for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in my next video.